Welcome back to Dinner with Scott. Today we're going to be doing the cheese course. This is the last of our episodes, so we're going to be looking at a wonderful mini ginger muffin with Kapiti blue cheese and finishing off with some real chocolate truffles. So straight into it. In my bowl I'm creaming together some butter and some brown sugar. To that we're going to add a whole egg and get that incorporated well. So as you can see, we've got a really nice creamy thick mixture. To that I'm going to add some golden syrup. We want a tablespoon of golden syrup. And I'm just going to free measure that because it's really syrupy today. So about a tablespoon. Then we want to add 3/4 of a cup of milk with the baking soda. We just want to mix those together. Make sure that baking soda is dissolved, and then that goes in the mixture. We want to give that a wee bit of a stir around to combine those ingredients. Now I'm going to be baking these in little mini muffin tins, but they can be baked in a normal size muffin tins. It just depends on what size you actually want the end product to be. So that's just incorporated enough. So in goes our flour and our ginger. So these muffins can be served on their own, just as a little ginger muffin, but they go wonderful with this combination of the blue cheese and the pear and the walnuts, which I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So as you can see, the mixture comes together. Remember not to overmix, just to bring the mixture together. We'll just scrape our spoon down. I've already got my prepared little muffin trays ready to go, sprayed with some cooking spray. So in goes our mixture. So these will only take around about 5 to 6 minutes in the oven. So we're going to fill the whole tray up so it cooks nice and evenly. Now we're just going to put these in the oven, make sure they go into the centre shelf of your oven. And we'll put the timer on for about 5 to 6 minutes. Now I'll show you how we're actually going to deal with our pear part of the component. So for this dish, you want to try and get small pears if you can, and then we want to peel the pear following the shape of the actual pear itself. If you can get the pear that's actually still at the stalk attached, that also just adds to the presentation of the dish as well. So just go around the pear, peeling as you go. Take a wee bit of this off the bottom. Then you want to cut a little base because we're going to sit the pear on our plate, so we want it to be flat. Then ideal for this is a Parisian scoop, or if you have a apple corer, but I find the Parisian scoop's really good. So we sit that across the bottom where the core is, and we scoop some out. And you'll see in there, hopefully we've still got the seeds inside there. So we want to again go one more, so we can remove those seeds. So we've got rid of all those seeds, and we can now put it into our poaching liquid. So I've already got some of the pears in the pot. So what we do is we pop that into, join the others. So what I've got in the pot is some vanilla beans, some sugar and some water. So we've basically created a little syrup, a little stock to actually poach those pears in. So I'm going to add another vanilla bean to this to show you how you work with the vanilla beans. Now, if you can't get fresh vanilla beans, just some vanilla essence would be fine. You can also now buy some vanilla paste, which is very concentrated. So what you want to do is to get the vanilla pod or the vanilla bean, and we're going to split it down the middle, all the way through. And what you've got inside, and you'll see them when I scrape them in a few minutes, you've got all these wonderful little seeds. So you can either use your big knife or even the likes of a teaspoon, just as good. So you want to basically get it open, and as you get it open, run your spoon down the length of the bean, and that's what we're going to get, the little paste coming out of the centre. So we'll do it with both halves. And this is what will then go into our pot. And we can also chop up the pods themselves and pop those in there also. And they're going to add wonderful flavour to our finished dish. Now in my second pot here, I've got some of the syrup, which I've actually started to reduce down. So we actually want some syrup to serve with our dish. So this is the same liquid from the pot that we poached the pears in, and this has still got the vanilla pods and those vanilla seeds in there. And what we're going to do, because of that sugar, we're going to be able to create a nice syrup with the actual vanilla beans in there as well. So you want to bring that to the boil, and then we're going to keep an eye on that as it starts to boil, which it's doing now. We then need some more components to go with our wonderful ginger muffins. So there's our syrup boiling away. So you want it boiling quite vigorously, so we're actually going to create that syrup. Now here's one of my pears I've already poached off, so I have poached one off ahead of time. So basically very nice and soft. It's got a wee bit of the vanilla beans on the outside, but that's what we want our pear to look like. I've also got some walnuts, and all I've done with the walnuts is put them into the food processor and grind them up very finely. You don't want to go too far, otherwise you'll end up with like a butter. You'll have a walnut butter. So basically we've got those. Now if you want to go the next step and get more flavour into them, you could toast them lightly in the oven as well, but I find they're just fine as they are. Remember, because of our syrup, we want to keep an eye on that, because if you take it too far, you're going to end up with really vanilla toffee, because it's going to caramelise and not be really good at all. So then we move on to our cheese. So I'm using some wonderful Kikarangi blue cheese. Any blue cheese will do, but basically I find the Kikarangi goes really nice. So you want to basically carefully take that out of the packet, and I'm just going to cut half of that for what we need. So of course there's a wonderful marriage or combination of the pear and the blue cheese and the walnuts. It's just one of the classic combinations that go really nicely with the cheese. So now what I want to do is just want to cut this into not too thick slices. So just gently ease it off your knife. Make sure you give your knife a wipe every time. We'll cut another slice. So remember, our dinner party's for 4 people, so we don't necessarily need 4 large slices. And just bring that back together. So what we're going to do now is cut each one of those into a little wedge. So we're going to end up with our wedges of cheese. We'll set the rest back onto there. And here my syrup getting down, so I've just caught that in time. So we've just got a really nice, and I'll pick this up, you can probably see that. We've got a wonderful, it's not too thin, it's not too thick, but any longer it would have actually started to caramelise. So we'll just sit that there, so we're ready to use that as part of our presentation. Here are our pears, they're just sitting there quietly poaching away. So you need a holy spoon, and you're just going to bring it out, and it starts to check the pears. So of course you're going to check the fattest part. Don't go and just check underneath here, around where we've made that opening, because that's going to cook quite quickly. We actually want to be testing the whole part of the pear. Try and use your fingers. You could use a bamboo skewer, but if you do, then you're going to have lots of holes all in the pear, so we don't really want that. So just take your time. These can be done a couple of days ahead of time, put onto a little tray, covered in the fridge or into a little pottle, and they'll keep quite happily until you need them. We'll now have a look at our little muffins and see how our muffins are going in the oven. So as you can see, they're raising up really nicely. And remember, when you're going to test a muffin, is you actually want to test the outside. If they basically touch them and they spring back, then it's a good indication that our muffins are ready. So I'm going to have a little look at these and see if we've got one of these just about ready to go. They are, so they're not quite there. Another couple of minutes and they should be ready to go. So what I can do now is start to do the plate up. So what we're going to do is take our pear and we're going to sit our pear straight on the plate. Now if you wanted to, depending on how much pears you've got access to, you could slice them and make them a wee bit smaller, but I quite like serving the whole pear as part of the actual finished dish. Then we're going to take some of our crushed walnuts, and what we want to do is we want to create just a little line. So just run through your plate. So, you know, in restaurants now it's being called, you know, walnut soil or walnut dust. Has lots of trendy names. So basically it's just crushed up walnuts. So we're popping those onto the plate. We'll go back to our muffins. And we'll see if we can look at those wonderful little muffins. So on goes our muffin. We'll just sit these out of the way. And then we're going to take a piece of our blue cheese and just sit that on top, and that of course is going to warm through with that heat of our muffin. And then we're going to take some of our wonderful vanilla syrup and we're just going to drizzle that over, just over everything, over the pear, over the blue cheese. So there you have our little mini ginger muffin with our kikarangi blue cheese and our poached pear, vanilla syrup and walnut soil. So there's our wonderful cheese course that's part of our dinner party menu. So follow on and we're going to finish off with our real chocolate truffles.